Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever had something in your life, maybe um, a daily ritual, a favorite food, or even just a simple object that felt like it contained, well, an entire universe of meaning?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, something that seems mundane but just opens up, you know?
Exactly. And today, we're doing a deep dive into this absolutely fascinating memoir that uses coffee as precisely that kind of lens. It's really something.
It really is. What's remarkable, I think, is how the author transforms something as everyday as, a cup of coffee
Right.
into a way of exploring these huge ideas, personal growth, philosophy, even just the nature of existence itself. It's quite a journey through taste, memory, and some surprising revelations, actually.
It is. And to guide our exploration today, we're pulling from excerpts of The Crackling Bean and Nietzsche, a coffee memoir in three brews, and also this detailed brief called Here's Your Day.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission really is to pull out the most insightful bits from these materials, hopefully helping you see your own daily sips or, any everyday experience in maybe a whole new light.
Yeah. Get ready for some aha moments, I think.
Definitely. So let's get into it.
The coffee bean's journey from romanticism to reality and philosophy.
Okay, so the journey kicks off with the author's first encounter with this Thai northern farmhouse coffee. They were really drawn in by the label, weren't they? Organically grown, farmer roasted.
Oh, yeah, totally seduced. Imagine this beautiful rustic scene, right? An old man, maybe hand-stirring beans over a clay pot.
Yeah,
Very wholesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then comes the first sip, and uh-oh.
Yeah, reality bites. It was a full-blown case of romanticism just colliding head-on with raw experience.
Bitter disappointment.
Completely. The author described it so vividly. To Nietzsche, they said.
Wow, to Nietzsche. What does that even mean for coffee?
Well, they described it as a hollow bitterness, like the lingering aftertaste of a Superman who had died for nothing. So think profound, almost nihilistic bitterness, that kind of stark, unvarnished truth Nietzsche explores. Heavy stuff.
Definitely heavy. So, okay, after that initial shock,
Yeah.
the author doesn't give up. They try a medium roast, right? Hoping for, I guess, redemption.
Exactly. But initially, these beans were green, wild, philosophically unstable.
Philosophically unstable beans. I love that.
Me too. The description is great. Tasting like a teenager at a family dinner, talking about freedom one minute, crying into their soup the next, just all over the place.
Okay, so unstable teenager beans. But then something happens.
Yes, and this is where time comes in, and it's really insightful. They basically shelved these beans for weeks, just put them aside,
Okay,
and when they rebrewed them, delicious. Totally different.
really? Just from sitting there?
Apparently. The author says the chaos had settled, like a kid who'd survived military boot camp and learned to wash his own socks.
That's quite the transformation.
Isn't it? So the conclusion was that medium roast was its true form. And by day 7 of brewing this aged batch, it was like that teenager suddenly got sensible, decided to open a coffee shop instead of just arguing about philosophy.
So the lesson is maturation, taming, for coffee and people.
That seems to be the takeaway, yeah. It highlights that sometimes potential needs time, maybe a bit of shelving, like you said, to really come into its own. It needs the right conditions, patience.
That's a fascinating parallel. Thinking about that shelving for weeks in our own lives. Is it just patience? Or is something more active happening during that quiet period?
That is a great question. I mean, for the coffee, it's literally about chemical changes, right?
Wow.
Stuff settling down.
Okay.
For us, it could be, reflection. Maybe stepping back from the pressure cooker, letting experiences kind of sink in, integrate, or maybe just waiting for the right moment, the right external conditions for something to click. It's often not passive at all. It's this crucial internal processing time.
Right, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
But the story with these beans doesn't quite end there, does it? The author kept tracking them.
Nope, always curious. They then encountered the whiskey flavor and red wine flavor varieties from the same source.
And if any guess.
Predictably, yeah, still over-roasted.
So it raises that question. Why stick with the over-roasting?
Exactly. The author does note the bitterness had, evolved. It went from that raw Nietzsche edge to something with more existential depth. They called it Sartre-esque now.
Sartre-esque bitterness.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that different?
Maybe think less nihilistic void, more the heavy weight of choice, the burden of existence, but still fundamentally an unpleasant cup.
Gotcha. Still not good coffee.
Right. And what's striking is the potential of the raw material. The green beans themselves apparently smelled amazing. Fermented with a heady alcoholic aroma, like a really good single malt you'd sniff but maybe not dare drink straight.
Wow. So the potential was there.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the key insight, really. Good coffee, good potential in anything, relies so heavily on the right processing. In this case, the roasting.
So the farmer's roasting was the issue.
Seems like it. The author suggests that as long as beans from that region weren't roasted by the farmers themselves, they were almost always worth trying. It was all about finding that potential processed correctly.
Philosophy as taste, living concepts through coffee.
Okay, so we followed the bean. Now, the author takes this deep dive in a really unique direction, talking about philosophy. They admit something pretty upfront, don't they?
They do. They say they've never really understood it, despite years of trying. Even went to Europe specifically to figure out why philosophers wrote so, well, obscurely.
Which is a question many people probably ask. So what do they figure out? What's the insight here?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The big realization in Europe wasn't some intellectual key to unlock the texts. It was that philosophers didn't write that way to be understood.
Oh, then why?
They wrote that way because that's how existence felt to them. That's the core idea. Philosophy, for the author, wasn't something to grasp intellectually.
It's something to breathe.
Exactly. An internal structure to be lived, which really challenges that common idea that knowledge is just about, understanding concepts in your head.
Right. It's more embodied, more experiential. So how does this connect back to coffee? If philosophy is lived, how does that translate to taste?
Well, the author finds they're actually better at sensing systems that live outside language. Things like taste or structure or feeling.
Okay.
So instead of using the standard coffee jargon, like blueberry notes or chocolate finish.
They use philosophers.
Precisely. An over-roasted bean, Nietzsche. A young, underdeveloped bean, Sartre. A wild fermentation gone wrong, Foucault.
Foucault for bad fermentation. How does that work?
Maybe think about systems, right? Foucault wrote a lot about power structures, systems of knowledge. Maybe a fermentation system that's become chaotic, oppressive, gone off the rails. It points to that kind of systemic. That's a fair point. But the author is clear. It's not about arbitrary labels. The goal is to remember that feeling that cup gave you, not fruit, but existence.
Ah, okay. So it's mapping the existential quality of the taste.
Exactly. Which leads to the question for you, the listener. How do you describe your experiences? Do you stick to the surface descriptions, or do you ever try to capture those deeper states of being they evoke? For the author, taste becomes this language outside memory.
A language outside memory, connecting directly to personal growth.
Yeah. It bypasses the usual ways we categorize things.
And this whole unique relationship with coffee, it actually started way back in childhood.
It did. They remember their very first taste, homemade Nanyang coffee. Black with sugar.
Nanyang coffee, that's the traditional style in parts of Southeast Asia, right? Often roasted with sugar and butter.
That's the one. And as kids, of course, they were told, no, you can't drink that.
Which naturally meant?
They wanted it even more. Forbidden fruit or forbidden brew.
So how did they get it?
This leads to some really intimate, almost secretive memories. Drinking straight from the kettle spout sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Spitting at the grounds like a criminal hiding evidence. Or later, sneaking spoonfuls of the actual coffee powder, just holding it in their mouth like sacred contraband.
Just the powder.
Yeah. Bitter, intense. That was their first relationship with coffee. Stolen, bitter, and strangely intimate.
It really shows how those early, maybe unconventional experiences can just embed themselves, shaping how we connect with things sensually, emotionally, for life.
Absolutely. Those forbidden tastes often stick with us the most, don't they?
The unsung heroes of the coffee world.
Okay, so we've covered exotic beans, philosophical interpretations. Now let's shift to the really everyday stuff. Nanyang coffee versus, say, Nestle Instant.
Ah, the classics.
Right. On the surface, maybe they seem similar. Hot water, powder, dissolves. But the author makes a strong point. Anyone who grew up with both knows.
They're not in the same universe.
No.
Not at all.
So what's the difference, according to the memoir?
Well, Nanyang coffee, even if it looks a bit rough, is described as an art. There's a craft to it.
Right, involving specific things.
Yeah, the wok for roasting, the specific fire, and famously, the decades-old sock filter, that long cloth strainer bag.
The sock filter, yes.
Which, as the author jokes, probably has more seasoning than your grandmother's clay pot. It imparts a unique character.
Okay, so Nanyang is art, craft, history. What about Nestle?
Nestle's strength is different. It's all about consistency. It always, always tastes the same. No surprises.
Dependable.
Exactly. It's a fallback, a safety net. Or, for the author, who is a cartoonist, it was just straightforward fuel Get the job done, caffeine.
And the smell of Nestle,
Yeah.
the author had trouble placing it for years.
Yeah, couldn't quite pin it down until one day they pass a car crash
Oh, no.
and the smell hits them.
Burnt tires.
Burnt tires, that's
Yeah.
evocative.
Isn't it? That, they realized, was Nestle's soul. Its bitterness wasn't like the philosophical kind we talked about earlier. It was a different kind of bitter.
That's a bitter that teaches you something. Like, life just gave you a firm slap across the face and told you to grow up. More functional, maybe. A wake-up call.
A slap in the face kind of bitterness. Okay.
Right.
But then something else rose to challenge Nestle's reign.
Yes.
They
The
do?
3-in-1 coffee sachets. Coffee, creamer, sugar, all in one packet. They became hugely popular.
And the secret wasn't just the convenience or the sugar, was it?
Nope. According to the author, there was a secret weapon. A specific type of coffee bean blended in, Liberica.
Liberica. I'm not sure I know that one.
Most people don't, consciously. Which brings us to that point. Have you ever stopped to think about the hidden ingredients, the unsung heroes behind your everyday comforts? What actually makes them taste or feel the way they do?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So Liberica is this hidden hero.
It's presented exactly like that, the unsung hero of Southeast Asian coffee. Apparently, it's been contributing that unmistakable aroma, that unique profile to Nanyang blends for decades, but without getting the credit. It's often just blended in.
Okay, so why is it unsung? Is it difficult?
Oh, yeah. The author warns it's definitely not easy to love. It's challenging.
How so? What does it taste, or rather smell like?
Get ready for this. Light roasted, it apparently smells like cockroaches.
Oh, okay. Not appealing.
Not appealing at all. Dark roasted, it smells like, wait for it, a really satisfying fart.
Gentle chuckle. Seriously, that's the description.
That's the description. Not polite, obviously, but honest and unforgettable.
Honest and unforgettable. I'll give it that. Is there a sweet spot then?
For the author, yes. Medium dark roast, that's where its sweetness apparently comes through, but it's balanced by this faint acidity that kind of rises up the throat like a little moment of transcendence.
Wow, from cockroaches and farts to transcendence. That's quite a range.
It really is. The author stresses that this bean, Liberica, it doesn't flirt, it doesn't charm, no subtlety there.
It just hits you.
It punches you in the soul, is the phrasing. And if you survive that punch, you'll find yourself floating a few inches off the ground.
That's intense.
It's this powerful description that really paints Liberica not just as a flavor, but as a presence. It doesn't want your approval. It wants to be itself. Raw, unapologetic. Outro.
So, wow. We've really journeyed through coffee today, haven't we? Not just as, a drink to wake you up,
Not at all.
but as this incredible mirror, reflecting personal growth, the tricky nuances of philosophy, even those raw, maybe uncomfortable truths about everyday life.
Yeah, we've seen how a simple bean can be like a rebellious teenager or a wise sage after some time on the shelf, or even deliver that punch to the soul like Liberica.
It's amazing. And we've explored how the author really challenges us to move beyond just simple descriptions, right?
Mhm.
To look for or taste for those states of being.
Exactly. Finding meaning in places we might not expect through these really unique personal sensory experiences. Which brings us, I think, to a final thought for you listening out there.
Yeah, thinking about all this, how might approaching your own daily rituals, whether it's coffee or something else entirely, or even your challenges, how might approaching them with this kind of open, maybe unconventional perception,
Mm-hmm.
how might that deepen your understanding of the world around you?
What states of being, beyond just the simple labels, do you taste or feel or sense in your daily experiences? Something to maybe mull over with your next cup?